Hello, and welcome to another presentation of Weir Collection Wednesday as we explore the Weir Collection at RiverBrink Art Museum. A favorite animal and some favorite and most charming works from the RiverBrink collection. This Weir Collection Wednesday holds a very special place in my heart. I thought this might be a fun exploration, particularly for those who have gotten awfully familiar with what it's like to quarantine with cats or some other furry friends. Speaking from experience, cats, for example, make soft and warm companions. Their purrs are soothing, and they offer a sweetness that sometimes can't be beat, especially when they stretch out a paw and they nestle their heads into your lap or beside you when you're resting or seated. Unless, that is, they're stretching out a paw to tug at your laptop charger, or maybe your phone charger, or maybe even your headphones. Or perhaps they might stretch out a paw to swipe at your ankles to remind you, if you haven't noticed, that their food bowl is 1/4 empty, and they might perish if they don't have a top off soon enough. One thing is certain, they're building a strong argument, especially lately, to let us all know that they are not very good office assistants. They've got a real knack for biting pens, your laptop chargers, maybe your phone charger, or maybe your headphones. But with online orders and cardboard boxes galore, this past year, cats and pets have played an important part of our daily lives. Yes, even if they are biting your headphones. They are loving, they are lively, and most importantly, how lucky for us, they are there. We will be exploring two of Clare Turlay Newberry's mid-1930s works from the Samuel E. Weir collection, both of which depict her more well-known subject matter, felines. These works, such as seen on the screen here, Two Siamese Cats Lying Down from 1935, and Scamper from 1934. Newberry is widely praised for the compassion for animals that she instills in her young readers. Much of this appreciation is a result of the author and the artist's priceless drawings, merely done in thick pencil strokes. With occasional monotone color, the sketches are so alive, they are so sweet, and so amusing that the animal characters are irresistible. Clare Turlay Newberry was born in Enterprise, Oregon in April of 1903, and she showed an immediate interest in drawing and illustration at a very young age. By the age of 16, Newberry sold a series of paper doll illustrations to the widely distributed children's magazine entitled John Martin's Book. This marked the beginning of Newberry's noteworthy commercial and publishing successes, where she eventually authored and illustrated 17 published children's books. 4 of these books in particular were nominated as Caldecott Honor Books, shortened to Caldecott Medal today, which honor artists of the most distinguished American picture book for children, published in the United States during the preceding year. Newberry received formal training throughout the early 1920s at various institutions such as the University of Oregon, the School of the Portland Art Museum, and California School of Fine Arts, though she never completed her academic studies. Despite her early successes in illustration, including watercolor and Conte crayon on velour pastel paper, Newberry set a goal of becoming a portrait painter, and by 1930, Newberry moved to Paris and studied at the famed Académie de la Grande Chaumière. Not garnering the success she had hoped for in Paris, Newberry illustrated a story she had written before leaving for Europe, in the hopes that it would earn her enough to travel back home to the United States. The story she illustrated was about a little girl named Sally, who happened to get a lion for her birthday. It would be published as her first book, Herbert the Lion. The New York Times praised it as refreshingly imaginative and full of high-spirited nonsense. Now, while I'm not quite sure what constitutes high-spirited nonsense, but it sounds like something we all might benefit from these days if we were to encounter it. The image we see here on screen is a recent reprint from 1998, but the original work shown here on this next slide. Here we see the beginnings of a style that emerges in the feline works within the Samuel Weir collection. More importantly, we begin to see her migration to the subject matter that would comprise all but 4 of her successful children's books, depictions of cats and kittens. Newberry's first picture book for children was met with immediate popularity and acclaim, and upon moving back to the United States and settling in New York City, Newberry's original plan to make her fortune via portraiture did not come to fruition, but her determination to make art her life's endeavor certainly did. Newberry's next book, Mittens, became a bestseller, secured another Caldecott Honor Books distinction, and was named one of the 50 books of the year by the American Institute of Graphic Arts in 1937. The story proved to be another stylistic turning point in Newberry's career, which tells the story of 6-year-old Richard, whose kitten runs away after an overzealous squeeze from visiting baby Noreen. Richard's father decides to post a notice in the morning paper, and it reads, "Lost, black and gray tabby kitten, child's pet, reward." As we can imagine, in the story, the telephone begins to ring and the doorbell begins to repeatedly chime. What follows is the story of an endless parade of cats, much to the overwhelm of the family. By the mid to end of the 1930s, Newberry had almost exclusively dedicated her work to cats. Her ownership, observation, and love of the felines naturally led to her incorporating their antics and their poses in her books, as shown here with Mittens. For Newberry, daily life with its ironic humor and the challenges between parents and young children who desire to have pets provided much inspiration. In the field of children's literature, Clare, Turlay, Newberry, and cats have become nearly synonymous. Many of her ideas for books come from her own experiences with pets, with friends, and with family. Her own children, Stephen and Felicia, even served as models for several of the children in her books, as did many of her own pets. Critics praised her works for instilling in children a compassion and sense of responsibility for animals. Not all of Newberry's books depict cats exclusively, such as her 1942 story titled Marshmallow, which tells the simple story about the encounters of her new baby bunny Marshmallow with her big, spoiled tabby cat brother, Oliver. Newberry sheds light on the inspiration for her books in an interview regarding the tale of Marshmallow. People often ask me where I get my idea from books. To tell the truth, almost all of my stories are drawn from my own experience. I have usually acquired a pet, made studies of it for several months in pencil, pen and ink, charcoal, and pastel, and then thought up a story based on actual incidents. The story of Marshmallow and his friendship with Oliver is all true, and the drawings done from life. I recall wondering, as I sketched Oliver with the bunny in his arms, if anyone would really believe me. Returning to the title works for this Weir Wednesday, two Siamese cats lying down and scamper, we see the early inspirations of what made Newberry's work so popular. Here we see the gentle gesture of tucked paws and the pure contentment of dozing Siamese cats, and the strong and stern, seemingly irritable disposition of a long-haired cat, possibly just having woken up from one of many naps. Newberry would go on to master the character and the energy of her subject matter, from the ornery, mischievous glare in a feisty cat's eyes to the frisky romping and tumbling of kittens. Some of her cats look so alive and animated they could almost step right off the page. Others, depicted so gentle, so quiet, one might even be mindful to take enough care turning the page so as to not wake the sleeping animal. Newberry's work introduced her as an artist illustrator who appealed to both young children and the parents that read to them. Her subtle humor, straightforward dialogue, and simple plots were elemental to her success. And so, may we all continue to recognize the importance of animals, those that we are lucky to know and love in our lives, as well as those represented through art, for all that they offer and for all that they teach us. Thank you for joining in on another Weir Collection Wednesday, and stay tuned for the next video to learn more about our special collection here at RiverBrink Art Museum.